So good afternoon. Thank you, Susie. My name is Camilla Barrow. If we just talk to you about the things that we're going to be covering today, we're really going to be talking to you about our company, which is Bechtel, and we're going to be talking to you about how we've integrated these 10 steps into a business strategy and how we've aligned them with our company visions, values and covenants that we have in place. To do that, we'll give a short introduction, just to give you a bit of background as to who we're here, why we're here and who we are. And then we'll talk about how we've kind of incorporated and even overlapped a few of these 10 steps really into 4 main categories. So we're going to be talking about our strategy, which is how we approach this like any other business initiative, which is one of the steps. Then we'll go through how we sponsor female talent and demonstrate that we want to retain and develop females and sponsor them the same way that we sponsor males within our company. Then how we remove internal obstacles. And that's really looking at sexism and bias within our industry and within our company when we're looking at recruiting people or progressing them. How do they influence us and how do we manage that within the supervisors across our company as well? And then one of the steps is obviously sharing lessons learned and good practices. So we're here to share lessons learned, and we've also been around earlier to talk to you about some of your lessons learned that we've been gaining from the other companies that are here today as well. And we'll take time for any questions at the end. So I'll let you control us, Troy. Right.
I've lost control as well.
Yeah. This is a common problem we have. Yeah. That's why we're chosen today for this purpose. Well, while we're trying to figure out what's going on with the screens, so my name is Camilla Barrow. I've been working with Bechtel for about 10 years. I graduated with a master's degree in civil engineering from Newcastle University. And then during that time, since I've worked with Bechtel, I've pretty much worked overseas for the last 9 years. So I've worked on mega infrastructure projects, generally rail or airports, constructing them from scratch, a little bit of time in Asia, then a few years out in the Middle East, and the last 5 years out in America. This is obviously very passionate for me, starting from when I graduated with my degree from Newcastle. About 50 of us graduated in my year, of which I was one of 8 females, so it started there. And then right now in all the management, I'm the Deputy Project Manager on Crossrail for all our system-wide works within the central section. And in pretty much every meeting I sit in, I'm one of the only females there. So I recognise that gap. I see it every single day. I recognise it within my team. I have a construction engineering team, and those numbers are similarly reflected in my own team. I see the challenges, and I recognise the benefits from diversity, from having worked all over the globe and working with other women too. So there's definitely a benefit from our team, and we don't seem to be really drawing on that benefit at the moment. I'm a keen advocate of STEM as well, particularly with girl guiding. I don't know if anyone saw the BBC News this morning, but they're talking about the benefits of girl guiding. Pretty much wherever I've gone, I've either created a brownie unit or guide unit or helped support one. So right now, Greenwich Brownies frequently visit the Crossrail site and have been in the tunnels. So that's one of my keen advocates. Troy?
Thanks, Camilla. Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Troy Easthorpe. It's always good to have the presentation straight after lunch, but I can hear already that everyone's quite lively today. So, I'm a senior project manager at Bechtel. I've been in the engineering, construction and project management industry for over 20 years. And through that time, I've seen change in the industry, but not enough change. And I'm here to try and help and sponsor as part of my experience within the industry, but also as part of the work I've done since my early career in the development of talent and the attraction of talent into the construction industry. Going back from when I finished college, working with the Construction Industry Training Board and a Young Enterprise Scheme. And I've tried to encourage that and promote that throughout my career, and that's what I'm here to do to support today. Now, during my career, again, like Camilla, I've worked in many places, many continents, and the experience that's given me over the years is that the more diverse your team is, the better you are, plain and simple. All of the factors that come into different backgrounds, different genders, different race, when you mix that all together and try and form dynamic teams that have balances with skill sets that are different to each other, really helps the dynamic of the team and how you perform. So that's one of the reasons why I really support this initiative. The other thing is a personal thing. I have 2 older daughters. My eldest daughter has just started university in a STEM subject, so I'm really pleased with that. My second daughter, who's going through higher education at the moment, I'm still negotiating with. But she's been on site. She spent a day with Camilla, who's one of our role models on the project, and I'm hoping, because I'm passionate about the industry, that I'll be able to attract her into it. We'll see how that goes. So just before we start, I'm going to just give you a bit of background in terms of the Bechtel journey. So it's only been going for the last 3 years. And again, as a company, one, we obviously recognise the shortfall we have in engineers that we need in our industry. So two, we recognise there that there's a greater pool of females out there that aren't coming into the industry, but do have the qualifications when they leave higher education as a possibility to move into the industry. So that's obviously one of our aims. Also, we've recognised that our diverse teams perform better than our non-diverse teams. So that's another reason why we're promoting Women at Bechtel, diversity and inclusion initiatives. So back in 2013, we launched our Women at Bechtel initiative from our executive sponsors all the way through our business sectors and then onto our regional offices. We launched the Women at Bechtel campaign, and we've already got 80 chapters around the world that are promoting Women at Bechtel. By 2014, within a year, we'd reduced the number of female resignations within the company. Now, very early, but they saw that the initiative was gaining traction, and hopefully that influenced their decision. We also, in that year, increased our female intake by 13%. So within a year of raising the profile, of sponsoring from the chief executives, people were seeing that we cared about the subject. By 2015, on the project I'm on, Crossrail, we had 40% of our engineers were female, which was a great result. And I think that may have had some sway in us being voted as Wise Employer of the Year for 2015. In 2016, 2 of our senior managers were recognised in the Daily Telegraph Top 50 Women Engineers, which again is a great achievement. And our overall percentage of engineers within Bechtel that are female is now at 16%, which again, when we see the stickers of the 9% that are going around today, that's something obviously that we're going to continue to strive for, to increase that number. So that's our journey so far. But what next? What does 2017 hold? We want to continue to increase the number and percentage of engineers that are female in the senior management positions. That's one of the areas we're focused on. But also this year, our graduate intake for the autumn intake increased to 50% female. So again, our pool is getting stronger, but we still have our challenges. And those challenges are about how do we develop our female talent that are within the company.
So as Troy's just mentioned, we're starting on a good front in terms of feeding the female pipeline into our company. And there's a lot of good initiatives, and I think they've been spoken about at the start of today, about bringing them in through raising awareness with STEM subjects and bringing females, young females in to see what we're doing and really encouraging the pipeline. However, once they join our company or any company in our industry, what do we do to make sure we retain and progress them throughout our industry? And in our company, we want to get them to the top, and that means becoming a partner within our company. So right now in the UK, within Bechtel Limited, our female population is approximately 26%. And when you look at the numbers of females that are partners, so on the top of the step, the top level, that's 20%. So it's not too bad, but there's a gap. So we need to increase the pipeline, so that 26% increases, and then that can eventually funnel through to the top. So we promote on merit, but we increase that 20% to be more reflective. So we've got a lot of work to do, and that's really where we've adopted and integrated these 10 steps into our strategy, into our Women at Bechtel strategy that we have. So a couple of things we're going to talk about today that are important about removing these internal obstacles. And these are things like unconscious bias. When you're interviewing your team, when you're speaking to your team, looking at promotions, what are those biases that are naturally instilled in us? And how are our supervisors using that to make critical decisions? We talk about flexible working, what are our policies, procedures, and more importantly, what culture do we drive? So if people do have changes in their lifestyle or careers, how do we support them and make them feel like that's fine and they can come back to our company and we work with them? We're going to look at sponsoring female talent, and there's 5 specific initiatives we'll talk about within that, which are things like networking, training and development. But the first thing, and probably the key to the foundation of this all, is how do we approach this like any other business strategy that we have within the company? So I'll hand over and we'll talk about our strategy.
So, like any business organisation, we need a plan, we need a strategy. So back in 2013, when we launched our Women at Bechtel, we produced our global charter and our governance strategy. It set forth the group's missions, objectives, the group structure and the governance that we would uphold that group to. Our vision is to make Bechtel the employer of choice for women as part of that strategy. We want to establish a diverse workforce and an inclusive environment, and that is the vision of the company, and that is the vision of Women at Bechtel. Our mission is to empower individuals to help with that, but also to empower the organisation to recognise that it has weaknesses, it has gaps, and it has legacy from the industry that went before it. So based on that, we want to create that inclusive environment, that diverse environment that encourages the development of women within the organisation. To do that, our vision and mission is supported by an organisation solely dedicated to Women at Bechtel. And then obviously every organisation needs goals, and every organisation needs to work on how they keep the engagement going. And we'll cover that as part of the rest of the presentation.
So one of the first pillars we talked about was our organisation, so a Women at Bechtel organisation, which provides the structure for our initiative that we've been working on developing over the last 3 years. So, as Troy mentioned, it's set up like any other business initiative within our company. You have our global board at the top, which is sponsored by an executive on the side. And really that global board, the job of that global board is to provide consistency, any issues and sharing our lessons learned across our projects internationally. They're kind of the gatekeepers for that and coordination. Then at every single location across the board, we have lots of different individual chapters. So we have a UK chapter, as Troy mentioned, there's 80 in total. And in our UK chapter, we have 1,000 people, members or employees that are signed up for this. The organisation is key, but more importantly, it really is to make sure you select the right people to represent. So these are people that have day-to-day jobs already. This isn't a bolt-on initiative. This is people that aspire, are positive role models that we've identified to take on these roles. And really, they have to have a passion and want to influence change and drive change in every single thing they do within their day job. And it's only through integrating these people into the existing organisation that you'll see a change in culture. People want to aspire and be like them. It can't be another additional initiative that you have to do on the sidelines. It has to be something you do day in, day out. So we spent a lot of time making sure we had the right people on the board. We change it regularly within our chapters. We make sure everyone's aware of it, gives everyone visibility, and everyone the opportunity to sit on the board at some point. Right now, our UK sponsors is Aileen McAdams and Mark Ashwin. Both of those sponsor it, and they attend all our events. We have annual conferences, lots of Q&A, and we have telephone conferences that anyone can see, access them, and visible to exactly what they're doing and why this is passionate to them.
So the other 2 pillars, as always, when you're in project management, you need a matrix. So the other 2 pillars are covered by our 3 goals, which are depicted in the yellow rows, and they're called the 3 A's. And the goals then are supported by our engagement elements, which we call the 3 C's. I'll quickly run you through the concept behind the matrix. So the first A is obviously awareness. Although we have our Women at Bechtel chapters, we have exponentially more people within the company that we've still got to reach out to and communicate with and make them aware of what our initiative is and what our plans are. So we get as always with new businesses, you get a real good surge at the beginning, and we've seen that over the last 3 years. But we've got to keep that momentum going. And the only way that you keep that momentum going is to keep increasing the awareness and repeating the awareness. Along with that, as Camilla mentioned before, we need alignment. We need to be consistent. We're going from countries with different cultures, with different mixes of people on them. And we've got to make sure that the message is always constantly the same, and that our chapters are continuing to promote the same message. And that way we get the spread quicker than we would do otherwise. And then obviously with any business plan, we need accountability. We need to hold our senior executives and our senior management responsible for making sure that this works. Without that accountability, they may move on to the next priority or the next fad or the next initiative. So this has to be structured. To support the 3 A's, on the engagement side, we've covered the 3 C's. The first one is obviously myself and Camilla as colleagues. We need to work with the individuals. Individuals that get it need to promote it with individuals that don't get it. And we need to keep nurturing our people so that they're more aware and they're more supportive and they're driving the change. Then we've got to work on the company. As I said, we're a large organisation, 18,000 plus permanent employees worldwide. We've got to touch every one of those. And then when we start projects, they'll bring a new influx of people into the company who will have to recognise that there's a potentially different culture and a different environment that we're trying to promote. So it's always a constant address, it's always a constant activity. We can never rest on our laurels. And then we've got the community. Thankfully, we've got people in the room that are sitting in front of me that support this initiative. And then we've got people like WISE, institutions that are also supportive of this initiative. We all need to work together. You know, the challenge that was set just after lunch in the keynote comment, that just shows how much work we've got to do, and we've got to do it as part of a community. But we've also got to recognise that the community is wider than our industries. We've got to go back to the schools and to the colleges and continue to work with them. It's a big subject, but we've got to chip away year on year. So that's what we use in terms of our strategy and in terms of our pillars to drive our culture and to change our culture. And our Women at Bechtel chapters across the globe use this framework to set up their plans for the year and to really drive this business plan.
So we've kind of described the policies, the goals and the engagement, how we do it. Let's talk about a little bit about what we've actually done, especially over the last year or couple of years really. So five key initiatives in terms of sponsoring female talent that we've done really is recognise the importance of training and development. So everyone should be promoted on merit. Okay? It's not a quota system, it's who deserves it and who has access to it. However, personal progression is a personal responsibility. It can be heavily supported through company forums. So giving visibility, everyone access to all the available training. So every single employee with Bechtel has to sit down with their supervisor 3 times a year and discuss skills gaps and available training. And there's a website for this which has been created, and you have to tick the boxes, and it's all very complex, but it works. It enables every single person at some point 3 times in a year to sit down and talk about their gaps, what they've done in training over the last 3 months and what they plan to do. So really encouraging increasing your competency and your skills and development. The other one is networking. This is very much aided by a woman at Bechtel, but it's more than just that, it's mentoring. Every single person that joins our company now gets assigned a mentor. It might not be the appropriate mentor to start off with, and you can change them over the first couple of months, but if you don't know anyone, at least you have somebody straight away who you can contact with. And it's key in terms of sharing lessons learned and experiences. And women aren't always partnered up with another woman or somebody similar. It's a mix and range, and we try to separate it out. So for example, right now my mentor is based in Jubail, Saudi Arabia, and my mentees are both based in the US, 2 female mentees. So the mix between all 3 of us, and we do share stories up the chain and down the chain, is really critical in terms of sharing stories and diversity globally, geographically, and in terms of our own experiences. So it's key in terms of mentoring. The other thing is partnership. So WISE, we're here today. we're here also as individuals to come and speak to you and learn stuff ourselves, as well as share our stories. This year, Bechtel hosted the WISE Career Development Training, which some of you may have attended. I attended and 12 other Bechtel females attended for us, and it was pretty good. It was hosted a couple of months ago, so we shared and networked with each other to learn some of our challenges and what we've been doing. There was a speed mentoring event with TfL, not speed dating, speed mentoring with TfL, and there were between 60 Bechtel and TfL employees that came along, really just to share stories again. And our company sets these up and sponsors them. And the other one was senior, when we talk about senior management engagement, if people within our company, employees, think that it's important to our senior managers, it helps drive that passion towards the level of importance. So our companies it's important to them, and they need to reflect that to employees. And that's another key strategy at the senior management level, that they're trying to show how every single one of them on the board level is accountable for increasing diversity and showing that it's important to them, not just paying lip service to it. And women supporting women, it is key. There are some specific challenges. So we have multiple forums. We talk about work-life integration, work-life balance, and how we cope with that. Not only just the policies and procedures, but also the culture. How does your company culture support that? So, Troy, if we talk a little bit about culture.
Thanks, Camilla. So, we set what we think our culture should look like. We've put our strategy in place. We've written the policy. We've created our groups that are going to support it. So we're done, right? No, we've still got a lot of behavioural elements to address, to drive that culture, to drive the diverse workforce, and to get as many people as we can working towards our common goal. So let me give you an example of what might have happened in the past and what might happen today. We have one of our colleagues on either maternity or paternity leave, and maybe the old culture was, we'll deal with them when they get back. Yeah? We're too busy. We need to focus on the people we have here now. Or maybe a different scenario that might work. How about we keep in contact with those people, no matter the duration of their paternity or their maternity leave? How about we keep them informed in the initiatives and how their projects are doing? How about when we're doing the business plan and the career development plan for the next year, that we make sure that they are considered and we inform them of that consideration, so they know that they're already being thought of before they even return to work. That's just an example of what it could have been in the past versus what it could look like today. So that's one area, one example of how we need to change behaviours and cultures. The other thing we've got is our leaders. We can't sit here today and pretend that all of our leaders get it. We cannot. And our leaders have unconscious bias. And they don't know that because they've inherited it over decades through the industry. We've, in the UK, insisted that all of our leaders go through, 100% of our leaders have gone through unconscious bias training. Not that they're going to get any better straight away, but at least they've got the recognition there that those biases are within and they create stereotypes. And then communication. Not only do we have to keep telling people what we're doing, but we have to listen to our employees. Through our Build a Better Bechtel and our Great Place to Work initiatives, we're listening. And we're listening that there is a difference in terms of fairness and gender equality, in terms of the feedback we're getting from our male population versus our female population. So we need to do something about that. So we need leaders and champions. When we need to run this like a business and not a sidebar initiative. So my view is we operate it like a business and execute it like a project. And hopefully in the future it becomes the way we work.
So to summarise some of the key lessons that we've learned is the importance of having metrics and targets, business strategy, vision that's aligned with whatever your company previous has, whatever goals they have in place, so it's integrated, not a bolt-on. It's important you have clear goals, and ideally those goals are linked to bonuses at a high level. We found that had a massive impact as well in terms of starting the visibility of it. It's also important to recognise that we are facing the same challenge to various different degrees as many other companies in our industry here. And it's only by working together and sharing these lessons learned that we're going to get anywhere. And only through that can we reap the benefits of having more females within our industry, and also that will better the industry in itself. and also without forgetting the STEM subjects and encouraging the kind of filling from the bottomed up. Because without that pool, we won't be able to sustain our industry as well in terms of development compared to other companies and countries. So thank you for your time, and if there's any questions, we can answer them now, or you can come and see us. We'll be around for the rest of the day.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Troy and Camilla. And we're always very indebted to Bechtel, who are perhaps one of the most engaged companies that we work with on our 10 Steps programme. So 10 Steps is our sort of flagship corporate programme. Sign up for it. If you're not organisations who are involved, come and find one of the WISE team and find out how you become a signatory and how you get involved in the activities that run alongside it. So, in summary, get involved with people like me to help you with your attraction. Talk to us about apprenticeships and how our apprenticeship toolkit can help you get more women into those apprenticeships, and sign up to the 10 Steps to help you drive retention and development of the women that you already have in your businesses. Okay, so whilst I've got Troy and Camilla on the stage, we have had a couple of questions from the audience coming through on the app, which I'd like to address to them now, if they wouldn't mind. Is that okay? Perhaps we'll start with, how did Bechtel go about getting 50% female graduate intake? Who'd like to take that?
Okay.
See, this is what happens when I'm left standing next to the mic, I think.
Well, I'll go first. Obviously, it was in the plan. Okay, so we set the plan, but then you've still got to work it. So obviously we do a lot of work with WISE, we do a lot of work with schools and colleges. We use our projects to highlight what we do, and that really encourages people, as Camilla says, from the grassroots upwards. But then it's back to making people accountable. And if people are accountable to achieve those goals, and we're talking about senior executives of the company, then they will make it happen through driving their people and measuring them against it. So that's one of the key things for me.
Yeah, that's true. We spent the first couple of years, so we talked about three years looking back, we spent the first couple of years clearly identifying what targets or metrics we wanted to achieve. And 50% is what we targeted. And to do that, we really had to go out and campaign. We sent people or kind of campaigners out to all universities. We really looked to it, and it worked. And we've got a great, it was all merit-based. We just had a great application year. People knew about us. We'd been buddied up. I had a couple of girls from university that come around to our project. And it was just a really successful year.
And then a personal one for you, Camilla. When did you first know that you wanted to do engineering, and what was it that inspired you?
Well, actually, I wanted to join the army, so I left home at 16. There's an army officer college in Nottinghamshire, and they'd only let you join there, and I wanted to leave home quite early because I was quite adventurous and active. They only let you join if you were going to do maths and engineering degrees, so you could join the Royal Engineers. So I was sponsored by the Royal Engineers and did civil engineering, and then ended up really enjoying it and liking it. So it's a bit of a strange way to get into it, but it worked out okay. So.
All right. So obviously, Troy and Camilla are, well, I think, Camilla, you're staying around a little bit longer, aren't you? Troy will have to dash off, unfortunately, but thank you very much indeed. Round of applause, perhaps?